Welcome to the road to 1 million US dollars. Let's get right into the Bitcoin chart for today, starting on the 15-minute time frame for Bitcoin today, because we saw some absolutely insane volatility for Bitcoin over the last day or so. Right here, you can see that we actually crashed about 12% to the downside in a matter of a couple of hours, with this being the craziest candle where we dropped thousands of dollars in the Bitcoin price in a single 15-minute candle. So obviously a lot of craziness going on. Did I expect to get some kind of crazy move to the downside like this? No, I did not. I mean, I was looking at this symmetrical triangle pattern and I actually shorted this move to the downside right here. But then when we hit this price target, I was like, okay, great. I'm closing my short position here. And then we got this. So yeah, obviously crazy. There was a lot of liquidity to the downside, and yeah, this just ran all of these stops to the downside here. But let's analyze this current situation of what happened after this crash, right? Because we saw a pretty fast recovery here on that 15-minute time frame. I actually went for a little bit of a ballsy play and I longed from 92.5K. So yeah, so far it looks like I got a pretty good entry, but we are actually in a pretty tricky situation here for Bitcoin, because what you may notice is that we are chopping right on top of this Fibonacci golden pocket, and this acts as a strong level of resistance or a strong level of support, depending on from which way we are attacking this golden pocket. Now, in this case, we are coming from the downside, so we should be expecting there to be some kind of resistance at this level. And so far on this 15-minute time frame, you can see that we have basically just been chopping this for a while now. So the key level of resistance to watch here is about this 99.2K level. Basically, once we start getting 4-hour candle closes above that Fibonacci golden pocket, then we can talk about that being broken, and then likely we are going to see some more resumption to the upside from there. For example, up to this 0.786 Fibonacci retracement, sitting at about 100.9K for the Bitcoin price. I think in general, this 100 to 101,000 US dollar level is a level where we should be expecting, again, some more kind of resistance, because this is a big psychological level for traders as well as investors. Now let's zoom out a little bit to this 1 hour time frame. Usually when we're trading on top of these Fibonacci golden pockets, it is a bit of a tricky call, right? Because there's still that possibility of a big rejection from this Fibonacci golden pocket. And if you would look back at this chart like a couple days later, you would say like, yeah, that was a pretty obvious move. We got a move down, retrace to the 1.618, and then got rejected from that strong level of resistance. So that would make a lot of sense, but at the same time, it's also possible that we just break through this and get another resumption to the upside from there. So that is why for now, all I can say is pay attention to these levels, because I think over the next 24 hours or so, this is going to be the critical level to watch. Also taking a look at this symmetrical triangle pattern that broke out here recently. Of course, we almost reached the price target here. We got up to about 104,000, where the price target was about 106. But obviously with that big crash that we saw yesterday, I'm having a tough time saying that this is not invalidated, because basically you would just have to redraw this trend line to be something like this and say like, okay, we haven't really invalidated this yet because we didn't get a confirmed 4-hour candle close below that trend line. But at the same time, it would really be stretching it. So it's a tough call to make. I'm going to leave that up to you guys. For now, I think I'm just going to ignore this price target that we have right here at about 106K, because this setup would be pretty sketchy if you view this as a breakout retest resumption, right? So for now, I'm going to ignore it. But if you want to redraw that trend line for yourself, then that is your decision, of course. Now, another reason why I don't really have a strong opinion today on what I think is going to happen next is because usually I have these Bitcoin liquidation heat maps pointing me towards the right direction, because typically the Bitcoin price gets attracted to where there is the most liquidity on this chart. So for example, not too long ago, we had this big pocket of liquidity to the upside. So therefore for me, it was really easy to be bullish in that situation and say like, yeah, it's probably a matter of time before we take out that big level to the upside. But if we look at the current day situation, we took out all of that liquidity to the upside. Then we actually reversed and took out basically all of the liquidity to the downside as well. and now we are kind of in the middle of that range. And yeah, I mean, there is some liquidity at about 104K for the Bitcoin price, but this isn't anything major. So what I'm waiting for with this Bitcoin liquidation heat map is to see where the next big pocket of liquidity is going to form. If people keep shorting Bitcoin and this starts to pile up, then I will start to take this a bit more seriously. But for now, we're talking about basically like $150 million worth of short positions, which is not really that significant if we compare it to what we saw here on December 5th, for example, where we had close to $500 million sitting at that one single level, right? If I zoom out to this 3-month time frame, you can see that there is still liquidity, for example, at about 89K for the Bitcoin price, but this is pretty far to where we are currently trading. Currently, we're trading at around 99K. And I don't know what would be the catalyst here for another 10% dump to the downside. There would have to be some serious kind of news event or some kind of major catalyst that is going to cause this, because we don't have that liquidation event that we saw yesterday that could really push the price down lower in such a quick way. So that is just something to keep in mind. And that is exactly the reason why for today, I'm kind of just waiting it out. I'm pretty happy with the entry I got at about 92K. And I'm just going to wait and see what happens next here in the charts. Taking a look at the Bitcoin ETF flow tables, yesterday we saw another net inflow of close to $800 million. So obviously the Bitcoin ETFs are still buying like crazy. Most of that still coming from the BlackRock Bitcoin ETF. And I do think so long as the Bitcoin ETFs keep buying hundreds of millions of dollars every single weekday, then obviously this is going to have an upwards pressuring effect on the Bitcoin price. So my apologies for not really having a strong opinion today. Usually I try to have some kind of bullish outlook or bearish outlook, but in this case, it is just too tough to say with the Bitcoin price trading right on top of that Fibonacci golden pocket, and there not really being a clear picture in terms of the liquidity. So for now, I'm just going to wait this one out and get back to you guys tomorrow with a new analysis. Either way, this has been today's market update. Thank you very much for watching once again, and I will see you tomorrow in the next one.